Hello, everybody. So today's topic is on how to acquire higher-end knives. If you're starting out in the knife collection, it can be intimidating when you look at the prices of knives and how much they cost, and the apparent abundance of people with high-end collections and beautiful titanium anodized knives that are running hundreds or thousands of dollars. And oh my God, who could possibly afford to buy a knife that costs that much? And I'm here to tell you, yeah, don't buy them. Don't go out and do that. Sorry, all you makers. No, well, or at least don't try to buy them initially when you're starting out with a collection. Build up your collection slowly. Collect things that are appealing to you, that you might like to have in your collection, that are not common or usual. And over time, you're going to find that you start to have the ability to trade for knives that you wouldn't be able to find until you eventually can work your way up to finding some of your own personal grail knives. For example, this Spyderco Para 3. I traded for it and another knife back in the day with Jared Neve for Neve's Knives, and it was kind of what got me started with trading and trying to build up my collection to get a bunch of knives together that people might want to have in their own collection, or might appreciate seeing, or that I just simply wanted to have because they're darn cool knives. Trying to keep this family friendly. The trading of things is very common, and part of the thing, what you want to do if you're going to start trading with people, is you really need to not start off trying to get a bunch of really neat things together that people can trade, but find oddball things like this manual Kalashnikov. It's been discontinued for quite a while, and I found it relatively inexpensively in a store, and someday down the road I will most likely trade it off, simply because it's an unusual discontinued piece that no one can get a hold of anymore. Yeah, that's neat. Things that are relatively neat looking, shredded carbon fiber, the hottest new blade steels in your budget lines. Getting a hold of some of these items that are rare to come by when they appear. They're not super easy to find in stores. So you get a collection of these types of things together, and then you can work your way up to trading for something you might want, or selling them to get money together to buy something you might want. I have done a fair bit of selling and trading. So why was I saying you want to get to know people first? You want to get to know people first because you don't want to get ripped off. You don't want to get robbed. You don't want to get your stuff stolen. And so if you're trading with people, it's generally a good idea to try to get to know them a little bit, or even better, get to know the community they're involved with, get to know them within that community, and then like the knife community here online. And then over time, you will learn by watching who the trustworthy people are that are worthwhile people for trading, and the ones who are maybe not so trustworthy. And just pay attention to what's going on, trust your gut instinct, and don't do a big trade or a big sell with someone the very first time you are going to do something with them. Or if you're going to do a bigger trade or sell or deal with someone, consider doing it in person, in a neutral environment that's safe. And or try to go through a company like PayPal, which is going to help protect you from having your things stolen in some ways, and that you could report people and their accounts. At least if you don't get your money back, at least maybe you'll get some satisfaction. Doing the deals online, finding oddball knives that people aren't used to, finding expensive knives and finding them at a rare or not rare, at a low price, if you happen to get lucky at some point. All these are ways that you can build up your collection enough to have things to trade for, more higher end knives that people consider a premium, because every time I need money for bills or something, I'll probably go out of my way and sell a knife. I sold one recently to KJ, and shout out there, a guy online who a lot of people in the community know. And I sold him one so I could buy some other things that I wanted. And it's pretty common. People sell and buy your mid-level and your upper-level knives, and they sell them and trade them so that they can get the more higher-end knives. And it's a process and a stage of, I think, collection development that we go through. I know I've been a little bit rambly. I would like to address one more point here before I'm done. When you're looking at what to get in your collection, I would strongly recommend, if you're collecting knives for yourself, get something that you like, that you think is cool. You know, look at this old timer with a built-in all-metal toothpick and tweezers that are almost impossible to get out. Actually, not badly made. This is a lockback, I guess some kind of a trapper or something, but you can't get to the other blade here, which is a saw blade that locks. It's an oddball knife, but I'm not gonna probably get a big trade out of this if I want to trade it to somebody. Maybe if they collect certain campy knives or something like that, they might consider it, but it didn't cost me a whole lot of money, so I bought it for me, for my collection. And a lot of these that I'm showing here would never get traded anyway, but perhaps, you know, you want to look at knives that are hard to come by or super popular, like the Spyderco Shaman. It's going up and up and up in price for some reason. I got this one relatively cheap. Will I ever sell or trade it? I don't think I probably will, just because I like it. But I could, and it is popular right now, so I could probably get a relatively good price for it, a relatively good deal. Knives with strange opening mechanisms, the Protect Magic, that come and go in very small batches and numbers. This is a great type of knife to have as a trading item. In fact, this is the production run number 8, and there's number 921 before they stopped doing their numbering on their runs. And so you can figure there's maybe 10,000 of these out there in the world. And so finding knives that have unusual features or that are discontinued and hard to find, or finding really good deals on them, that's a great way to build your collection to the point that you can get the nicer end knives. I was kind of inspired to do this video based on someone commenting the Chris Reeves recently 1-minute video in which I was showing it off, and they commented that it was outside of their budget, outside of their price range. And I don't think any of these knives are outside of anyone's price range or budget if you are a collector, and if you take your time and build up a collection that is worth having as a collection that other people might be interested in or intrigued by. And then, of course, you also sometimes have to be willing to take a bit of a hit on it. When I sell my knives, I will sell them at 80% or 70% of what I put into them, because that's what, you know, they're going to probably sell at. I've had them, I've used them, I've gotten some enjoyment out of them. I also kind of expect that if I'm going to trade, though, I'm going to trade for relatively close to the same value. I might trade multiple knives of middle value for a higher end knife. It's always worthwhile to consider or offer that to somebody. Another thing to consider is when you see someone selling their knife, say on Instagram, and it's an expensive knife that they want such and such money for, you might ask them, hey, would you consider some trades if I make it a sweet deal? Let's say I offer you a couple, 4 knives for one at a $150 profit for you, that are popular knives that you might be able to sell separately at a better rate. Given that finding someone to drop down a chunk of change on an expensive knife might be a little bit harder than finding someone to drop down a moderate amount of change on a moderately expensive knife. They may take that deal because it might be easier for them to move the knives and get the money that they need for whatever purpose it is, whatever that may be. So I know, like I said, this has been a little bit rambly, but the whole thing I wanted to do here is encourage people to chase after their grail, chase after their dreams in terms of knives, collecting, and whatever they like. and to do so in a way that they're building up their collection so that down the road they can hit some of their targets by perhaps selling or trading other knives to other new collectors or even old collectors that are interested in certain types of knives that they've never had before, or perhaps collect discontinued knives that they can never get again. These types of things are worth looking at. I appreciate you all listening to these rambles. I hope you all have an absolutely wonderful day. This has been Patrick. Bye.